Life is suffering. The Buddha. Is that all life is, really? It seems like it a lot of times. Actually, I think it seems like it most of the time. As many other, as many other, because I'm not an other like another philosopher, as I was going to say, but as many thinkers and philosophers throughout the ages have said, we desire things, it causes us suffering, and even when we attain those things, we're still not happy or satisfied, and we keep striving for more. You would think we would learn that all the striving and all the grasping and trying to control everything and make our lives exactly the way we want it, and we're never happy. Some of us aren't anyway. Maybe some people seem like they are, but appearances can be deceiving. We go through life, at least in my case, a lifetime of jobs that I basically don't like, that I didn't like, doing things I didn't want to do, filling out forms and paperwork for this, that, and the other, taxes, filling out fucking insurance forms, applying for this or that, whether it's a job, your driver's license, filling out this, showing your paperwork, bringing your paperwork, making sure your fucking paperwork's in fucking order. That's just one little aspect of life. That's not to mention when you become sick or injured and you gotta go for medical treatment. Well, there's more paperwork. There's more shit to fill out. There's more bullshit to deal with. And then you start feeling better. And then the bills come in. And I'm not saying this is what's happening with me, it's just an example. And then you got more bills to pay. You need more money. So maybe you go get a second job. And then you're worn out. You're working all these jobs just to pay people. We have to pay just to fucking live. We have to pay. We have to show who we are constantly, that's not a bad thing, I guess, but prove this, prove that, show me this piece of paper, show me that piece of paper. And even in the digital age, it's still there. Maybe it's not a paper, now it's a file. A file. Send us and attach a file. That'll make it easier, won't it? Unless, of course, the file's not accepted for 20 times in a row. And yes, this did happen to me recently. I applied for retirement, for one of my retirements anyway, and they wanted me to upload a document, and I used my camera the phone camera to take a picture of it. Turns out the phone I now have, which is I just got a couple days ago, takes pictures in some weird high def or something, that format, HFCI or something or another, not a JPEG format. And I didn't realize that, and I saw the extension, so I changed it. It still wouldn't accept it. Kept trying to scan it. My scanner doesn't work anymore because, of course, all your old equipment that maybe is still running is no longer updatable. So you got to get new stuff constantly. The built-in obsolescence or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I figured out on my phone that you can, in the settings for the camera, you can make settings for pictures that aren't quite as large, aren't quite, or just a regular JPEG or GIF or whatever format. Once I did that and retook the picture and accepted it, after I struggled with this thing for about a half an hour, every time seems like, and maybe this is just a me problem, I don't know. I go on to fill out something or another, there's always a glitch here or there. I'm scrambling to find other papers I didn't know I needed. And I'm just trying to do whatever it is to take care of the situation. And it just seems like there's one curveball after another being thrown at me. Oh, but that builds character, all this struggle and all this hardship. I call bullshit on that. It builds frustration after a while. We live in a society that is just so OCD, so obsessive, so perfectionistic. It's totally ridiculous. And it's like you get sometimes blocked out of your own accounts on certain websites, and yet the hackers can get right in. What's up with that shit? And you go to sign in, then they send you a code, which I think is another layer of protection, which is good, I guess. But then you got to type in the code. You better not make a mistake typing that code in. Although now my phone it automatically does it because my phone, computer, and everything's all synced together. I guess the point of all of this is I'm fucking sick of modern life. But at the same time, I'm glad I don't live in the ages where there were no dentists, where you had to go to a blacksmith and he took while two or three people held you down. If you had a bad tooth, he just took a pair of his pliers and ripped your tooth out of your head. And hopefully you didn't bleed to death. Or maybe you got some kind of an infection and there was no penicillin. Now, I'm not saying modern life is all that bad. I think it's probably in the long term, in the long run, probably better in some ways, of course. And maybe that's just that fantasy and that romanticism of a simpler time. Times were simpler. Because let's face it, because nobody in simpler times had any problems at all, did they? No, they didn't. Well, yeah, they fucking did. They were human just like we are. And they were worried about shit, probably. Maybe not to the extent that we are, but I can guarantee you they had their concerns. And they didn't live nearly as long as we do now. Although I'm hearing the average age is going down for the first time. I forget which generation it was. But I'll be honest about it. I'll turn 67 in September. And I have a 90-year-old mother in basically a nursing home type situation with dementia. Can't really walk anymore because of her bad knee and stuff. She needs a knee replacement, but they're not going to do that on somebody her age. You think she's enjoying life? Not only is her brain all scrambled and confused, but she's in a place she doesn't want to be in. I can't say that I blame her. I don't want to end up like that in a nursing home wearing a fucking diaper. Is that quality of life? No. And I'm not advocating here for euthanasia or anything like that. I'm just saying life ain't all that's cracked up to be. Oh, so you better enjoy it now while you can. Enjoy it now while you can. Yeah, because those memories are going to sustain me. If I have dementia, they're not. Yeah, I'll try to enjoy it while I can today, but I'm telling you right now, the downhill hill slide starts and it doesn't slow down generally. Yes, there are some people who live a very long time and they stay relatively healthy and active, and that's good for them. But the majority, it doesn't work like that. I don't I don't see it working like that for a lot of people. And I can tell you right now, the nursing home slash rehab center that my mom, 90-year-old mother, is in, there's people in there that are probably younger than me. Yeah, young people get fucked up in life too. And they end up having to be they can't care for themselves. Children have diseases and things that they can't care for themselves. They had nothing to do with it. It wasn't their lifestyle choice. It wasn't lack of positive thinking or any of the other horseshit things that people throw at people and accuse them of when their lives go bad. Life is hard for everybody. Different people may have different issues, different ways of being hard for them, but it's hard for all of us. Let's not kid ourselves. And as a lot of the pessimistic philosophers I read, you probably couldn't even tell that I read pessimistic philosophers. People like Schopenhauer and Thomas Ligotti, although he's a fiction writer, he does have one book, The Conspiracy of the Human Race, Against the Human Race, which is basically a philosophy book. A lot of it was a big influence, I think, on that the first season of True Detective. Really great series, I thought. That first season, anyway. About the suffering in life. Also, another book I read along those lines was by David Benatar, Better Never to Have Been, on the harm of coming into existence. His argument, he makes logical arguments, is that there's really more suffering and hardship and pain in life than there is happiness and fun stuff. We just tend to focus on the happy stuff because if we don't, we will probably go insane. Or what I do is we look forward to things. Oh, once I retire, this happens, once that happens, I'll be happy. Right now, I'm not all that happy. Although venting on this audio track of this silly video seems to be helping me. But one of the things that I think is very important to remember, maybe this is more of a positive note, and it's important for me to remember it. It could get worse, and chances are it just might. Right now, physically, I'm not in too bad a shape for someone my age. Most people think I look much younger than I am, but all it takes is one little accident, one little situation, and boom, You thought things were bad? You ain't seen nothing yet. When I was about 40 years old, I laid down a motorcycle on my leg and it snapped it right in half, right just above the ankle. I mean, it was the bone was totally disconnected, broken in half. And I spent about the next 6 months recovering from that with a big thing called an Lizeroff fixator on my leg. Basically, they're also known as a halo cast, with wires and bolts and things impaled in your leg. And you get to walk on it right away. And ended up getting infected before it was all over by the time I had it taken off. Did that make me a better person going through all that, all the pain? And at the time I was married, and that helped to end our marriage because I was at home, couldn't work or do anything. And a wife that thought that she was providing everything, even though I had was on sick pay and all that other stuff. Not workers' comp, because it wasn't a work accident. But I don't think it really helped me any. It showed me maybe that I could get through something like that. And again, a very good surgeon that knew what he was doing. Basic care. That's one of the things I'll say about the medical industry is orthopedics, they're pretty good at, as far as I've seen. Maybe other people have had bad situations with that, but orthopedics, not bad. Of course, their treatment of disease is mostly here, take these pills, and if these don't work, we'll try some other pills, and if those don't work, maybe we can do some surgery. That's their bread and butter, drugs and surgery, just to help prolong your life long enough so they can suck more money out of it. That's exactly their plan. Because if, as people much smarter than me have pointed out many times, the healthcare industry does not make money from dead people. It does not make money from people who are healthy. It wants mostly a bunch of low grade, sick, dependent people who have to take this medication or that medication for the rest of their lives. How many times have we heard that bullshit? You're going along in life all years and years and years with none of this medication, and all of a sudden you need it for the rest of your life. If anybody that doesn't think that that's basically a business model, I don't really know, man. Maybe there are some medicines that are like that, but I think there's far too many people are on. And I'm not going to start naming medicines and start trying to, shame people because they're on them, because I'm not. But I'm very suspicious of that model of them telling people you got to take this the rest of your life. And then when you try to go off of some of these medicines, the withdrawals and the, not having it in your, yeah, I guess just withdrawals. I don't know what else to call it, but are sometimes so unbearable that they have to stay on it. But that's kind of the way it works, though, because all pharmaceutical drugs are toxic. They all have side effects. and they kill more people, as I've heard or read or seen or something. What they say is they kill more people than all the illegal drugs combined. Now, I don't know if that includes the fentanyl epidemic, I guess you could call it. Every time we have a widespread problem of some kind, they call it an epidemic. Like it's all a disease. Maybe it is. But there's no cure for this disease we call existence. No cure whatsoever. We're thrown into this shit, as Heidegger would say. Martin Heidegger, existential philosopher. Not the easiest read in the world, but he talks about being thrown into existence. How we're put here. Yeah, I haven't read him too much really, so I just know that that's one of the things he said. But that's just the way it is. We're thrown into existence. We don't know what to do. We're winging it. Maybe we've got advisors or mentors in life, and maybe we're on our own. Maybe we were raised in a family with parents and older siblings, or in my case, it wasn't older ones because I'm the oldest sibling. People in life that have tried to guide us, but they didn't know what the fuck they were doing either. That's when you realize that we're all just winging it. You know, a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this too, want to blame their parents for all their issues in life and all their problems and all the things they didn't get or couldn't do or whatever. Blame that on the parents. And, you know, in the beginning that might be a little true, but after a while, unfortunately, you have to become an adult eventually and say, you know what? You know, if you need to go to therapy for that stuff, that can be helpful, but in the end, you're still going to have to just take responsibility for your life and do the best you can with it. And that's all most of us are trying to do. Some people try to take advantage of others. They see that person who maybe seems like a victim, easy prey or whatever, and they try to pounce on them. But that's another story for another day. But whatever you do the rest of the day, try your best to have a nice day.